You can probably guess from the title that I'm not exactly a big fan of The Legend of Korra introducing new airbenders in the first place. I wasn't particularly a fan of harmonic convergence as a plot point. My friend Kalani even likened it to hippy-dippy nonsense. Meanwhile, my brother flat out said, "This fucking sucks." And now we're using it as a means of bringing back the airbenders? No. But I could forgive bringing back the airbenders if we did some more exploring into the nature of being an air nomad versus being an airbender. The theme of the season is change, and the show decided to critique the traditional structures of the Avatar world, mainly Ba Sing Se, contrasting with the more modern city of Zaofu. However, they had an opportunity to tell the same story in a different way. The Air Acolytes, and the Airbenders themselves. The Air Acolytes were founded because they embraced the air nomad way of life. Aang didn't want his culture to become a mere relic of history. As far as these guys were concerned, they were the Air Nation itself. They were the successors to the Air Nomads, taught by the last of the Air Nomads himself, who was also the Avatar. Aang literally christens the Air Acolytes under a Bodhi tree as if he was the Buddha. In the lore of Avatar Legends, they were the ones reconstructing the Air Nomad culture through the Fire Nation reparations of looted artifacts and documents that they gathered and survived the war. And suddenly a bunch of airbenders show up. How does this make them feel exactly? These guys look old enough to have known Avatar Aang. How do they feel about the new airbenders? These weirdos just suddenly walk in, probably have zero appreciation or knowledge, or apathy, even worse, towards the traditions that they had long upheld. It's not brought up other than as a joke about this character otaku. That's the joke. Speaking of otaku, I'm sure jealousy could have been a factor in some level of resentment for the new airbenders. Complete nobodies got airbending, while these guys who kept the culture alive got like what, one representative? There surely could have been some problem here. Hell, maybe even the new airbenders only want to pick and choose what part of air nomad culture to follow, which pretty bad when you're upholding the entirety of the old culture on your shoulders. There's a remark from Milo about wanting to be an air nomad general, only to be shot down because air nomads didn't have armed forces in the past. Maybe, he thinks, there should be a new armed force. After all, maybe an army would have at least blunted the genocide bit in his mind. You have enough content to make an interesting conflict. Have Jinora toe the orthodox line, have Milo toe the revisionist line, and have Iki be somewhere in between. You could even tie this into Zahir and the Red Lotus. Zahir could have easily been written as a rogue air acolyte. This would make his knowledge of air nomad poetry make a bit more sense, adding extra layers to his obsession with freedom, and give Kaya some level of familiarity with him, because he could just simply have been some guy Tenzin offhandedly excommunicated for violating the whole "let's not kill" principle of air nomads. Could help recontextualize his order to wipe out the airbenders later. Maybe it wasn't just him coaxing something out of Korra, maybe he legitimately wanted Gazan to wipe them out because he didn't see them as worthy. Or you could just make the opposite extreme be true as well. Instead of a zealot air acolyte, he could just simply be an opportunist who lifted a singular air nomad's philosophy, that of Guru Lahima, because he saw it fit his worldview and just appropriated their looks and some lines of poetry to sound better, I guess. Then, when he is on the back foot against Tenzin, it highlights the difference between a deluded fanboy and an actual person who lived that life. There is a pop history and scholarly history joke in here somewhere. It seems like we had the foundations of an interesting conflict, but none of that exactly developed, choosing instead to go for the Earth Kingdom in this season, and also bringing back the Airbenders in this season. Which is a shame because the Air Nomads probably got the least exploration of the nations, not counting the Fire Nation. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know if you agree in the comments or disagree. Please consider liking, subscribing, and tipping the channel on Ko-fi. This is Cyril signing off.